everybody, welcome back to the Claremont Classic Garage. There's a new toy for us here in this box. Let's open it up and see what we got. Okay, let's see what's in here. Wow, what in the world is that? Okay, I'll show you. It's a little gasoline powered mini trencher. We got to do a little bit of work around here. And I looked into renting one, and well, nothing is free, right? It costs a few bucks to rent it. You have to book it in advance. And if once you've booked it in advance, when your day comes to go get it and it's pouring rain, that's how it goes. So I said, to heck with it, I'm just going to buy one. So I found these little ones. They, of course, come from overseas, but they seem to have reasonable reviews, and there's a few dealers for them around. The company, Ducar, it's a Ducar mini trencher, claims to have been in business for, forever. Probably under 14,000 different names. But anyway, I went and saw one in person, and it looked like a decent piece of equipment. So I said, well, we'll take a chance. The worst case is we use it a few times and then sell it, right? It's probably still cheaper than renting one. Every time you rent one, it's like to rent a decent one. I think it was $260 plus tax for a day. So we'll call that 300 bucks. Well, you rent that 8 times, and this is free. Well, here it is. It's a good sized one. There were some other ones that were a little bit smaller, but they seem to be harder to get a hold of. So, well, we got this one. So what we're going to do now, we've already gone through that. There's like a bill of lading that comes with it to make sure all the loose parts that should be in the crate were in the crate, and they were. Now I'm just going to go ahead and anything that is already put together, I'm just going to kind of touch it with a wrench and make sure all the bolts are tight, because I've dealt with this kind of equipment before, and you just got to double check everything, and then we'll start putting it together. Alrighty, step one is to turn this over. We can handle that, right? So we'll get that turned over, and it threads into there. I guess you turn it with is it an Allen key? Yeah, okay, so we'll get that on, and then this lock nut goes on the bottom of it. Next thing is to install this on these 4 bolts here. And there's that. Now we're going to put this together, the upper handle onto the lower handle. And I had to clean this up a little bit because they put some Loctite on this. I guess so it wouldn't rattle apart during shipping or whatever. But we don't want Loctite on that. You can see here it's got it's serrated there. So you put this on, and then you lock it in position. I guess depending on, there's something not right. That bolt needs to go through here. Let's see here. It's always fun with this stuff. Yeah, it's welding blobs in there. I'm gonna have to try and clean that out. Alrighty, I got this hole cleaned out. There's just a bit of a burr in it. And this goes together nicely now. And we put on our nut. Yeah, Deb will do it. Thanks, Deb. Well, look, she got it. Okay, so tighten that right up. Keep going. Oh, I think you've run into some of that Loctite in the nut there. Okay, I'll take over. There we go. All right, now we can drive it.
There's no wheels.
We don't need no. Now we're going to put the wheels on so we can get it off this skid. That's pretty straightforward. I'll be back when we're done. The wheels are on, and we got it off the skid. Now we have to install the throttle control. It goes up here, and the cable goes through this little bracket here. So we'll get that sorted out. So So there's that, and I could see it down there on the governor operating. We also have to go is this is a kill switch, like a dead man switch. So we haven't come across this in the instructions yet, but we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. Now we're going to install the chain bar. And as tempting as it is, don't grease this, because grease on something like this will just attract dirt and bung the whole thing up and wear it out. So we're going to push that all the way back. And now, it's just like a chainsaw, really. Now we can put the chain around here, and it should have a master link with it. Then we use these, just like your chainsaw, to adjust the tension. And I just figured out, the collective wisdom of Deb and me, that if I turn the adjustment handle, we can lift the bar up and I don't have to have a big piece of stupid wood underneath it. Okay, so now we're going to attempt to put the chain on. We're also going to bravely film me putting the chain on, unless it goes sideways, in which case we will cease filming. So it goes on like this. So on the top, these little bullets are pointing forward. So when they go around, they're pointing back and they can do their digging, right? So I gotta kind of get this thing on here. It slides along this bar here. And what I want to do is I want to feed it through over that sprocket and back down around the bottom, so that we can make our connection. Might take a minute, but we'll get it. We almost got it. Deb's feeding it. It's like ammo belts going through a Spitfire or something. Hang on, it's stuck now. All right, we're almost there. Okay, and then up around. And there we are. So what you do once you get to this point, you stick your clevis pin through. Come on. Man, after all that, don't tell me this is what's gonna screw me up here. Oh, it's so close. Okay, hang on. I gotta get a punch. It's just a little tight. Okay, there it is. We got it through. Now you can put the cotter pin in. And we have to read in the book and find out what the specification is for the adjustment on the chain. The book is a little vague at best, but hopefully we'll be able to figure it out. Alright, so we're starting to bring the chain tight. Here we go. We'll get this side done. This is the easy side to get at the bolt. And then once we got it pulled up, we'll go at the other side. Okay, so now what we got to do is, you don't trust anything on this offshore stuff. Look here. See this? Look. So we're going to go around and we're going to tighten. We're going to start here where our cotter pin is. We have to go around and check every single bolt on this chain. I went all the way around it and I found more than one loose fastener. There were some of these that were literally just hand tight. So it's important to check all this stuff on this kind of equipment. And I something I forgot to mention when I tightened up the chain, I tightened it up probably a little bit tighter than you normally would adjust it because it's a new chain. In the first few minutes that it runs, it's going to kind of work itself in, and it'll get some slack in it. We may actually have to tighten it up after that. But that's okay for now. On to the next step. Now we put this guard on. All it is it just sits on here like this to keep your digits and personal parts out of the chain while the machine is running. Oh, look, we got another hole full of burrs. There we go. Yeah, this stuff is, it's a little crude, but it's still not bad. Now we've got to install these 3 guards, mud flaps, etc. I'm going to get them all on. This one here goes on the back. This one goes on the end of the auger, and this one goes here. I'll be back when we're done. So you can see there, all the guards are on. Another thing we're going to do now is we're going to pull this cover off and check the belts, how they've got them adjusted, because I don't like the look of the. You see this pillow block here? Look at the angle that it's on. They've done that to try and tighten up the belt. So we're going to see if we can fix that up and get it a little more straight. They've either got too long of belts or too small of a pulley, or there's something going on in there. We'll figure it out. Get this thing off and let's see what's in there. Okay, so we got a couple of big whoop-ass belts. Well, I think everything's twisted. It looks like maybe the engine's twisted a bit too. But what I see is the belts, they seem to be in line with each other. So if that's good, let me get a straight edge. Yeah, it's definitely off a little bit, but it's not too bad. Let me see here. Yeah, they're parallel. This one is actually in a little too deep, and I don't know if there's really anything I can do about that. So I think we'll just leave well enough alone and put it back together and see how it runs. So here's the 2 wires that come down from the dead man handle up here. I couldn't find this in the instructions, but now I haven't completed reading them yet either or not. But anyway, here's your ignition. So this guy is going to go into here and ground it. We can either put a separate screw in there, or we could take this screw out and put it on there. Either way, it's fine. Now we're going to fill this thing up with oil. We're putting 5 W30 conventional oil in it for now. And then once we figure we've had it running and got it broken in, I'll drain that and we'll put in some Mobil 1. I run all my small engines on Mobil 1. I'm not quite sure how much this thing takes, so we'll just kind of sneak up on it. Alrighty, now we'll put some fuel in it. Took me a minute, but I found the fuel shutoff valve. It's down on the carburetor, not on the tank. So that's good. We're not going to completely fill it up. We'll just put some in until we know she's a good runner. And then I'll fill it up. Alrighty. It says when we start it in the instructions that the throttle should be at full. So we've done that. There's 2 ways to work the throttle, from down here or from up here. Now, with that starting at full, the chain is going to go. So you have to be cognizant of that. We have to turn this switch on, turn on the dead man switch, open the fuel, put on the choke, and it says it should start. The manual noted that when the engine's idling, the chain should not turn, which means that on the output side of the engine, there's a centrifugal clutch. This one, with the throttle control right down to idle, the chain was still going to beat the band. So I got the parts manual and made 100% sure. I double checked, and yes, there is a centrifugal clutch on the end of the crankshaft. So I looked into this, and what I found was that they put this remote throttle actuator on, and they had adjusted it wrong. The engine was not going back down to idle. So hopefully now that I've got that fixed, I'm going to put it back together and we'll start it up, and we should be able to idle it without the chain running. I also found that the dead man handle would not shut the thing off, because anyway, I got in here and found out they'd assembled the switch into this little holder wrong. That's the stuff you come across with this offshore stuff. So anyway, we're going to have a go at it again. We'll see if she'll run this time and idle without running the blade. Fuel is on. Okay, might need some choke to start it. We'll see. There we are. Look at that. Perfect. Now if I speed it up. Oops, look at, I touched that. Damn it all. Oh, she's gonna need some choke. Okay, now theoretically when I throttle it up, the blade should start going. Here we go. Perfect. Now let's test this. Good. Everything's working like it should. Once it's off, we're going to shut off the fuel supply and turn off it's also got an on-off switch on the front there. We'll turn that to the off position. If I knew I wasn't going to use this again for a little while, I would have shut the fuel off and let it run till it quit to get the carburetor emptied out. But we're going to be monkeying around with it again. So what we have to do now is do some layout work in the backyard, choose the path of our trench, and get this thing in the ground and see what it does. So we're not off to a good start. It's been a while since I actually got this thing. Today's the day we finally went to use it, because we're getting our propane service relocated. And I wanted to get it going and get used to handling it a bit before I started filming actually using it. But we didn't go too far, and the thing pulled a brick out of the ground, and it went bang and stopped working. The engine was still running, but the chain and the auger were no longer turning. So we got into it and found that this in here, it sheared the key. What do you know? So it's just a hunk of 5/16 key. So I ran up to town and got a hunk of it. Now we're going to go ahead and put it back together. All right, we're all back together. Another thing that I found was this chain was really loose. It's still a little bit loose, but that's okay. On this side over here, there's some pillow blocks, and I had to just put a little bit of a shim underneath them to snug up that chain a little bit. It's all good now, so we'll put the cover back on it, and we'll get out there and do some more trenching. Now we've got another screw up, and this is a major one. Well, here we are. We've got the wrecked section of chain removed, and we'll go about fixing it. First, I'm going to see if I can just untwist this one. Maybe I can, maybe I can't. And then we'll see what we have to do about this one. Wow. That's a mess. This one you can see is completely destroyed. There was nothing I could do with that. So I went ahead and made a new one out of a piece of flat plate. Hopefully I've got the dimensions good. Where's the other one? Looks pretty good, I'd say. You know, I think we're all right. And then what I got to do is I have to figure out what gauge this chain is and go get a length of it so I can do repairs in the future. Okay, I think I got it. I replaced, I had to knock the pins out, right? So I replaced the pins with 5/16 bolts. They go right through there. And I made sure I used long ones because I don't want thread inside there, because thread will act like a, almost like a shear pin, and it'll want to break, right? So I've used 2-inch bolts because they've got the shank. It's just right there. Once I tighten this bolt up, the shank will be right through to the other side here, and we'll be safe. So I'll run the nuts down and then cut off the remainder with a zip wheel. Alrighty, it's all back together. Go give her another whirl. So here we go. We gotta get from here to there. You can see here, the machine wants to pull itself forward. So that sprag on the wheel is what causes it. Something like this, make sure what you're digging in, gas lines, septic, water pipes, telephone, electrical utilities, all before you dig. After this thing sheared the key, and then it broke the chain twice, and the second time it made a real mess of it. I've made the decision I'm going to go ahead and rent one instead of continuing to keep fixing this one. I'm not complaining about it. I think I figured out what's going on with it, and we're going to have a go at it. I did contact the dealer that I bought it from and Ducar themselves, Canada, and they are sending me a new chain on warranty. So, but before I use that new chain, I've got some experiments to do on this one. So after studying the rental unit, the little it was called Groundhog, I think. A couple of things were apparent with it. It had a shorter bar because it was rated for a maximum 18-inch depth. And this one apparently will go 24. So it had a little shorter bar. But it used the exact same chain as this. The same gauge of metal the links were made of, the same pitch, everything. It was the same chain as this one, which I found interesting. And it never broke. It never gave me a minute of trouble, right? We finished that whole job with it. But I'll tell you the big difference. That little rental unit with the same chain as this had a 5.5 horsepower engine. This bugger is 15. So whereas the Groundhog, I would hit stuff in the ground with it, it would just literally stop. It would stall. It would stop and slip the clutch a little bit, or one time it actually just stalled the engine. Whereas this one, it's making so much power when it hits something, it wrecks stuff. Well, the chain. So I considered. I thought, okay, well, I'll just run it at like a reduced throttle opening, right? Like only put the throttle up halfway. The problem is then you lose the speed when the throttle's not all the way open. You lose the speed on the chain, and I don't know if it would have enough speed still to evacuate the junk out of the trench, right? I don't know. Or my other alternative was if I ran it at half throttle and found it didn't break the chain anymore, but it struggled or whatever, maybe I would go to a smaller engine, right? A 6 or 7 horsepower engine. And that would probably solve our problem. So anyway, it's all stuff to think about. But in the meantime, our new warranty replacement chain has arrived. So we're going to get that out and have a look at it, make sure it's the right one, and see what we got here. Well, would you look at that? Our new warranty replacement chain seems to be just a little bit of an upgrade from what it came with. Holy moly. The links have to be... along with that, they sent me updated sprockets that we're going to have to install. And all new paddles and stuff. I'm guessing that the holes are on a different center than these ones. You know? So we're going to get busy. Get this old one off. And then we'll see about getting the new one on. So with all the guards and stuff off out of the way, you can see here there's the one sprocket we have to change in there. And the other one there. First we got to remove this shear bolt. Well, actually it's just the bolt that holds it on. Pull the auger off. And then the sprocket's just in behind that. Well, there's the first good sign. The new one's the right length. Look here. The absolute massive difference between the two of them. That's good. Okay, so now we've got to get our sprockets changed. When we get the idler sprocket out, you'll see here we have to remove these two snap rings and the bearing and swap them into the new gear that they've given us. That's not so bad. We can do that. There's a good visual of the difference between the two chains. So we've got our new sprocket on. I had to heat it up in my toaster oven to get it on, but it's on now. And that's all the bar, I guess we can call it. So now we can feed the chain on, get the master link hooked up, and get it adjusted. I got the chain threaded in. Here's the master link here, just a couple of cotter pins. This is the adjuster. There's one of these adjuster bolts on either side of the bar. And I've got it kind of to this tight side because being a brand new chain, literally the first couple of minutes that it runs, it'll kind of break itself in and get some slack in it, and it should be okay. We can have a look at it again after that. Now what we have to do, they don't give us bolts. So we have to install all of these things onto our new chain. So we can either take this one apart and use these bolts, or the alternative is to go get new bolts. And we have to swap the cutting points because they don't give you cutting points. So we have to swap those over as well. I think for now, because, well, nothing's open, I'm just going to use these bolts. Here's another view of the difference now that I've got the cleats removed from the original chain. I still can't get over that. Well, there we go. We've got all our cleats and cutting teeth back on. And you can see here that the scoops, I guess, they're on a tiny bit of an angle, so it kind of encourages the dirt to come over this way so the auger can grab it. So all we got left to do is put the auger and the shields back on, and this thing's ready to rock. Well, there we go. All back together. Well, I guess that'll wrap that one up. What a journey it's been. This is not my first go around with offshore equipment. There's always usually a few bugs to work out. If you're willing to take the low selling price of them, you need to be prepared for the inevitable little things that are going to crop up. Lucky for us, there was factory support available, and that updated chain, I think, is going to solve our problem. I'm not too happy that I had to rent one to finish my job, but what are you going to do, man? That's life, right? I'm happy with it now. Unfortunately, we can't get out and test it now because it's the middle of January and the ground is frozen solid. It's like cement. Now, mind you, if I went out and stuck this thing in the ground and it actually dug that frozen stuff up, you know it's probably okay. But we'll try it in the spring. So anyway, any of you that already have this and are out this machine and are out searching around for searching around for a solution to your constant chain problems, just so you know, there is a factory upgrade or update available for this. Talk to your dealer. I don't know if they'll, if I was Ducar, I would be warranting these things right back to the very first one that I ever sold, because, this is a problem. Now, if you happen to live somewhere where it's all just sandy soil with no rocks or nothing in it, you might get away with that original chain for years and years and years and never have a problem. But around here, the aggregate capital of the world, it wasn't going to fly. So at the end of it all, we've got it fixed. I'm pretty sure we've got a good machine now. We'll find out more in the spring. If I come back doing a ranting and raving video, you'll know it didn't work. I'm just, on pins and needles wondering if all we're going to do is find the next weakest link in this thing now that the chain won't break. But thankfully, the rest of it, it's all just basic standard stuff. Keyed shafts, Woodruff keys, gears, sprockets. It's all stuff you could pretty much get at any farm joint or small engine place. So if anything else does let go, I'm not too worried about it. Anyway, that's it. Now you know all about the Ducar mini gas trencher. If you're going to buy one. Just know, I'm almost certain that the newest ones are probably shipping with the big chain. You won't have to change it if you go buy one now. But I don't know. Anyway, that's it. This one's done. Thanks for tuning into the Claremont Classic Garage. Sorry this one went a little bit long, but there was a lot to cover. Anyway, check us out again if you can. And until then, I'm Kevin saying so long for now.